This needs to be all over the fucking news. I don't know why it's not already. So check this out. This is coming from a Twitter account called Occupy the Fed Movement. These guys put together basically a little tweet here. It says, breaking news. Federal Reserve Chair Powell, which is referring to Jerome Powell, traded during restricted FOMC blackout period, failed to disclose majority of trade dates, apparently lied about muni bond conflict. U.S. Senate rushes the confirmation vote on February 15th. More details, see. And he links this article. Well, if you check this out, let's actually just take a back step here really quick, right? Let's just think very briefly about the conflict of interest that could potentially be at stake. Let's think about the conflicts of interest that could possibly exist with working for the Federal Reserve. We're going to go over to the handy dandy Microsoft whiteboard because I love this thing. And we're just going to list these out, right? Let's just start right here with this. First off, Fed. What sort of information do they deal with that could be classified as sensitive information that could, I don't know, influence their profitability as a trader? Well, if you're Jay Powell, this man speaks pretty regularly, right? He comes out, for example, you look at the SPY, the S&P 500, and you look at the last time that Jerome Powell spoke, the amount of volatility that this guy had and the effect that he had on the market is undeniable. Let's go back and check it out. Bam, right here. You can see the volume increases. You can see that it tanks coming off of basically him giving a nothing burger piece of news, right? So it's very obvious that when they speak, when they have meetings talking about inflation, they talk about rate hikes, when they talk about jobs, when they talk about whatever, Jay Powell moves the market both up and down, right? So Jay Powell, if he so much as fucking sneezes, this man sneezes, right? He sneezes, he farts, the market could go up or down. And this is all to say, essentially, this man holds a lot of weight in the stock market, right? He can make things do this. He can make things do this. You think Elon Musk moves the stock market? No motherfucker on planet Earth moves stocks like Jay Powell and his handy-dandy printer that never seems to run out of ink, except for occasionally, right? So with that being said, Fed conflicts of interest equal talks, right? They have the ability to move the market with whatever decision-making they decide to do. So once we've established that, we want to dive into, well, what's this scandal that we're talking about here? So you look at this article, right? I clicked on this, I checked it out, and you've got this. They're making a pretty bold statement. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say the Fed scandal is bigger than Watergate. I think it's a very bold statement. It could be, maybe. I don't know. We'd have to wait and see what this actually looks like. But this article came out 23 hours ago. Now check this out. Jay Powell traded during restricted, this is a key word, restricted blackout period. Failed to disclose most trade dates. Apparently lied about muni conflict, directed massive Wall Street bailouts despite conflicts. Now, there's two big freaking buzzwords here. Ready for this? Restricted. Restricted. Failed to disclose. Right off the bat, you look at these two pieces of information from Jay Powell, right? What's the first thing that pops in your mind, chat? I'll tell you what it is, right? If your first thing that pops in your mind is, wow, I'm going to make a lot of money because this guy, you got it wrong. No, it's illegal. What he's doing is wrong. It's fucked up. It's illegal. Straight out illegal. Now let's dive further into this, and I'm going to give my 2 cents on this because I've got another article I want to dive into, but we're gonna read just a few pieces of information on this. And before we keep going, don't mind the bags under my eyes. I didn't get much sleep last night. I was up pretty late, but I'm motivated as fuck, and we're ready to rock. Anyhow, Fed Chair Powell, who is supposed to serve in the public interest and avoid even the appearance of conflicts, traded millions in personal stocks and bonds while obstructing required public disclosures about those trades for years. That's not for a day. This isn't for a week. It's not for a month. It's not for 6 months. For years. It's a lot of time. Essentially saying, hey, every time this guy traded, he wasn't necessarily disclosing the full truth in terms of what he was actually doing. He wasn't being transparent. And that's all we're asking for, right? Is transparency at the very least. I personally would love to see a world where the Federal Reserve, politicians, congressmen, congresswomen can't trade personal stocks with sensitive information, but I digress. Maybe we'll get there someday. Let's just keep reading, right? We keep going. Yet the information that has slipped out is damning. It shows Powell made trades during the restricted blackout period for pivotal Federal Open Market Committee meetings, FOMC meetings. an example of this, right? Let's just say that Jerome Powell knows that he's going to flip from dovish to hawkish, right? What does this mean? Well, we come back to handy dandy whiteboard. We love our good whiteboard over here. They make us smile real nice. Hawkish versus dovish. If you were to look at dovish, I'm probably going to spell this wrong, but I think it's this. Dovish means essentially they're not going to be very aggressive with the economy. They're not trying to tighten things down. They're going to keep stimulating, or at the very least, they're going to let things run, right? This is typically when you're trying to stimulate the economy, you want to get money moving back. You're not really worried about interest rates. You're not really worried about inflation, whatever. Typically, it makes stocks do this thing, right? The nice big fat fucking printer arrow. Let's just say that he knows all of a sudden, instead of being dovish, he's going to flip to hawkish. He's going to start raising rates. He's going to try to combat inflation. He's not really going to try to stimulate the economy. He's going to try to tighten it down, right? What is that going to do? Well, if you're telling people that interest rates might go up, you're telling people it's going to be less accessible to borrow cash, well, you're going to see this because the stock market is a reflection of the economy. If he knows that this transition's coming at a FOMC meeting, right? That's a conflict of interest. You probably shouldn't be able to trade with that information, especially if you are the one, you're the individual that is allowing the stock market to either go up or to go down, right? So if he knows that, let's come back to this and just reread what I just read. This is insane. The information that has slipped out is damning. It shows Powell made trades during the restricted blackout period for pivotal Federal Open Market Committee meetings. This is a shocking revelation and constitutes grave and inexcusable misconduct by a high-ranking U.S. government official. Essentially what he did is he had an idea of what he was going to talk about. He knew, hey, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And he traded on that information, probably knowing, I mean, if he's got half a brain, he can know, oh, inflation's bad. If I have to combat inflation, stock market probably goes down. Oh, if I'm dovish, if I say things go up, things probably go up, right? If he knows that and he trades on it, what the fuck else do you need? What else do you need, right? And what are the consequences going to be? That's an important question because check this out, right? Look at these notes here. We're still a significant number of trades were executed during, we already read that, come down. Yet Powell had at least 6 sales transactions and 1 purchase on April 29th, 2015, the day of the final FOMC meeting. This is back in 2015. The title of the video is Why Has Nobody Talked About This? This is 2015, 7 freaking years ago. 7 years ago this happened. The day of the final FOMC meeting, he also made 2 purchases on December 11th, 2015, 3 days before the FOMC's December 15th through 16th, 2015 meetings. You can see all these different transactions right here. How do you know Powell wasn't using multiple to hide disclosure of far more transactions during the restricted blackout period? We're only scratching the surface, and this is just a single year of Powell's long tenure. Moreover, Powell's illicit trades were not isolated to 2016. It continues unchecked through the present. So what this is saying, let's just put on our freaking tinfoil hats here. I'm going to throw on my cowboy hat here. Let's take a deep dive into what this probably means. It means if he was doing this in 2015 and he has faced no repercussions, none, because I haven't heard a fucking thing about this until literally today, until I read this tweet today from Occupy the Fed movement on Twitter. If I haven't heard about this yet until today, I don't know if anybody in chat has. If you have, let me know. That'd be awesome. It probably means he's still doing it. It probably means there's other people in the Federal Reserve still doing it. This is illegal. It's insider trading to a T. What else do you need? And let me just show you one more thing, right? Check this out. If you think to yourself, oh, Trey, maybe it was just 2015, right? Could have been. Who knows? I'm always skeptical too. Skeptical, whatever the word is. I'm all worked up. Speculative. I was trying to mix the words skeptical and speculative. But we're just going to make it one word. It'll be like skeptical. I don't know. Speculate. Testicles. I don't know what the word is. But anyways, let's just keep going. This is an article from October 18th of 2021. Check this out. Revealed, Fed Chair Jerome Powell sold up to $5 million worth of stock options just before Dow Jones tanked last year as central bank reels from resignation of 2 regional chiefs who also cashed out. Fed Chair Jerome Powell sold $1 million to $5 million in stock options, which is kind of an oxymoron. I'm not going to nitpick at vocabulary, but whatever. Last October. This is a year ago. This is coming off of essentially him having insider information, knowing what's likely going to be happening with these central bank reels, which was, if you want to rewind basically a year into the past, right after March of 2020, you can see all of the ramifications of what happened after March of 2020. You already know, right? Let's just read this real quick. He made the stock sales on October 1st, 2020, just as talks between Congress and the Trump White House over a new stimulus package broke down while COVID case counts, deaths, and hospitalizations were spiking, according to Prospect. And the weeks after Powell's stock sales, the Dow Jones Industrial Average nosedived, losing 1,600 points in the month of October, or 6% of its value. I wonder how he knew that. Maybe Jay Powell, maybe he's just a god trader. Maybe he's a wizard. Maybe he's got a magic 8 ball. He just pulled that magic 8 ball and went, what's the stock market gonna do? And it went, and he knew. He said, oh, magic 8 ball, this is some genius shit. And he just knew. But I doubt it. There's no way. There's no way that makes any sense. So what you have here is in 2020, we have two proofs right off the bat here. Two proofs. We've got one in 2015 of him trading on FOMC information 3 days prior to a FOMC meeting. We've got this, him trading just prior to the Dow Jones 6% October pullback. What else do you need? This guy has gotten away with such illegalities. I can't even comprehend how he has a job, let alone how he hasn't faced jail time. I mean, let me put it to you this way, right? Let me just make a quick comparison to you. We're just going to take one of those sales. We're going to take one of these sales here really quick, and I'm going to compare it to you what that actually looks like. One sale, let's just go lowball and say that he made $1 million. It said 1 to 5 million. We'll take the 1 million number, right? He made $1 million bucks. This is Jay Powell over here. Jay Powell, he traded on fucking information about banks, bank reels. Found out that the stock market was likely going to pull back, right? He had one sale worth $1 million. He made some money. He got out just at the right time, caught the absolute tip of the wiener, and made some cash, right? Faced no penalties. I haven't heard shit about it. No jail time. No fine. Right? Makes sense. Sure. Well, let's just have an average American. Let's have an average American and make a comparable situation for you here really quick, right? Let's just say that you've got Nancy, and we're not going to go Pelosi. We're going to say Welosi. We got Nancy Welosi over here. It's the opposite of Pelosi, right? She's just an average person. She doesn't have information, all this insider shit. You got Nancy Welosi. Nancy Welosi over here makes, we'll just say $100,000 a year, right? Makes $100,000 a year based on federal income tax, state income tax, a whole bunch of different taxes. We'll just take a very conservative, 35% of that, right? Well, what's 35% of 100,000? 35K. Let's say that all of a sudden Nancy decided she did not want to pay her $35,000 of state and federal income tax. What do you think would happen? Do you think she wouldn't get hit with a fine? Do you think she wouldn't get investigated by the IRS? Do you think she wouldn't face some sort of legal penalties? Probably would. I mean, I don't know. I know that the government loves that $35,000. They're going to use that for great things, such as fucking paying people like Jay Powell to fucking steal $1 million, right? That makes sense, don't it? If Jay Powell could get away with making $1 million with no repercussions, why is it that Nancy Pelosi doesn't pay $35,000 in taxes, and she faces fines, legal allegations, IRS investigations, and all this sort of jazz? It's nuts. It makes no sense. This guy should not be fucking working for the Federal Reserve. Most of these guys probably shouldn't. I don't know. What do you think, chat? Maybe I'm just hallucinating. Maybe I'm just not making any sense here. But this makes no fucking sense. None. Like, this pisses me off. This pisses me off a lot. You know? I'm an average American. I'm expected to pay my taxes. It's supposed to stimulate the economy. It's supposed to go towards good things like education and building roads and paying government officials to regulate the country in the way that they're fucking supposed to. But instead, we pay jackasses like this to steal from you. I don't know. That's about all I got to say about that. But we got to talk about this. Why is it that just now, 2015, 7 years later, this is finally discussed? I have no idea. Makes no sense to me. Makes absolutely no sense. And I wanted to touch on that because this seems like something that really should be all over the internet. This is madness. It's a bunch of garbage. But that's what I've got to say about that. That's my rant on Jerome Powell. I'm going to breathe now. As always, my friends, it's a blast. Love you all. Much love. Light taps.